Good day. Today I'm not going to use a script, I'm just going to talk. So you'll have to forgive me if I stutter, take a moment to collect my thoughts, or just sit there and look at you. Today I would like to talk about many topics. I'm going to jump from one to the next, so I hope that's okay with you. One of the first things I want to talk about is bitterness and the damages it does to our community. It's pretty easy to fall into bitterness when you're disabled. Um, Life isn't fair, and fate has been pretty cruel to some of us. But we do our best. This is why I'm an advocate. I find meaning and purpose in helping others. But there are people that get pretty angry, and there are people that think they have the moral high ground. And when combined anger and the feeling that you're on the moral high ground, people can be quite nasty. And this leads to my second point, Jason Nixon. I don't know if the man is a villain or a gentle giant. I've never met with him actually. But because of the policies of the UCP, people think that the man is exercising cruelty. Now, it's not so much even the policies, but prior comments like they don't look disabled to me, as being one. Or when Jason Nixon said, I don't think they'll find DXing onerous. Well, it certainly was onerous, but a person that makes $160,000 or $170,000 a year wouldn't miss $40 a month. But a disabled person that has no money at the end of the month would certainly miss that $40. I mean, $40 buys 5 jugs of milk, 6, buys a heck of a lot of bread, many cans of soup. So yes, we did find it onerous, and we found that comment offensive. Other comments, such as the one by Matt Wolf, where he said the S in niche is for severely, really demeaned us. It suggested that by looking at us, he could assess whether we were severely disabled or not severely disabled. But when you judge a person just by looking at them, this is a prejudice, and it forms a bigotry. I have cancer. I don't look like I have cancer. Other people have serious disorders that are internal. Some can be very painful. But it is very important that you don't judge your fellow man. And I mean, this is why it's one of the commandments, because for time eternal, people have known the damage that's done with prejudging people. Now, I understand what it's like to work hard and toil for what you've got. And it's sometimes hard to share what you have when the economy is putting a lot of pressure on you. But I think this is when people share the most, is when they're hurting too. You know, the farmers will give the shirt off the back to the neighbor. The poor person is the person you go to when you need a meal, because the poor have a lot of empathy. They know what it's like to suffer. So in that regard, I do understand what motivates the prejudice. I just think people should overcome it. People don't want to share when they have a scarcity of resources, and they certainly don't want to share if they feel like they're being cheated. But that feeling of being cheated is from their judgment of us, you know, looking at us and thinking we're just sitting there and doing nothing. Now, I've worked on jobs where I have to admit some of the guys were leaning on the shovel, and I was a little bit bitter because I was busting my hump. But I was very thankful that I was able to work hard, earn, and provide nice things for myself and my family. So I would say to all of those that think they don't look disabled to me when they look at a disabled person, just be thankful that you're healthy, and also give yourself a pat on the back for helping your fellow man. It's a noble thing to help people. Jason Nixon, as an individual, can be quite intimidating, and I'm sure he's aware of his stature. He's 6'20" or something like that. And so I'm sure he's aware how people feel around him. And that's why I don't judge the man. I used to be a big guy, and I know how people would react towards me. I would like to talk to Jason Nixon and speak to him about the policies the UCP creates. Now, I also want to point out that there's very good conservatives out there, that are compassionate and caring. From Ed Stelmach to Lougheed, they did good things. But there's been libertarianism in the Conservative Party as well. And libertarians believe in individuality. And disabled people rely on the social contract. And those two things are at odds. The libertarian just wants to take care of his family and his land and himself. His social circle is not necessarily very big. He believes in that independence. But that doesn't work very well for society. When we all work together, we do much better. Many hands make light work. Now, that's just my political position, and that's as political as I'm going to get. I think it's unfortunate, though, that the libertarian policies affect policies towards AISH. It is very important also to understand that welfare and AISH are different. You can apply the carrot and the stick to welfare, and a person in welfare is in a temporary situation that they can exit. They can get more education. Perhaps they'll find a job. Their health might improve, or their situation might improve. They might be stuck there for a long time, but still they can get out of their situation. It's important to understand the carrot and the stick doesn't work on a person in a wheelchair. Doesn't matter how much you offer them, they're never going to be able to stand up. And this is why the different levels of support are so important to consider between welfare and AISH. Welfare tries to be uncomfortable so that the person is encouraged to stand up, go out, do their best for themselves, and get a better life. When you take the stigmatism of welfare and you apply it to AISH, you're not understanding that people can't get up, get out, and go make a better life for themselves. So when you say most generous about a benefit that's actually poverty level, it hurts. I'm most generous poverty doesn't exist. I do understand that Alberta is on the top of the list of provinces that provide a benefit of adequacy. It's enough to eke by, but it's not enough to achieve a sense of well-being. And I do appreciate that AISH allows people to earn. That's a great thing. But again, those are the people that can earn. There are people that can't, that are severely hampered by the economic realities of rent, energy, insurance, transportation, food. All these things add up, and the disabled person ekes their way through life. They often give up one thing for another. Now, we wonder why people are upset about the announcement of ADAP. And the reason is there was no policy in the announcement. The disabled person doesn't understand what it's going to be. And the pronouncements made on the YouTube video were simply things that could have been used to enhance AISH. AISH does allow people to work to a point where their CPPD will be clawed back after they've earned so much. AISH allows a person to achieve a sense of well-being. So when Minister Nixon said we want to allow people to earn, we were all suspicious because we know we can earn on AISH. And if he wants us to earn more, he can just raise the cap on clawbacks. Or even better, not clawback at all. AISH should be considered a foundation, not a ceiling. It's compensation for our disability. And a foundation allows us to fly, if you will. But a ceiling contains us. It puts us in jail for a crime we didn't commit. Now the level of AISH isn't enough. I can't state that enough. And with the Canadian Disability Benefit coming, I hope that the UCP will soon announce that they will allow disabled people to have that without fear of clawback. That small amount of money from the federal government takes a person from eking by to perhaps having enough each month. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful blessing. Society often judges the most vulnerable as being the drain on society. And again, I'm going to show a little bit of my political beliefs. I think it is the duty of the ultra-rich to care for the ultra-poor. The ultra-rich enjoy the protections of society, they enjoy the laws, and all we ask for in exchange is that they care for the vulnerable. And the lack of care coming from a person that has never suffered is a result of them never forging empathy within themselves, because I believe empathy comes from suffering. Now, that's all the thoughts I have right now. I hope one day to meet with Jason Nixon. I hope he forgives me for the criticism that I've heaped upon him. I am a kind person, and I try not to judge others. I try to be amiable, and I try to be reasonable. But I also represent the disabled community. And when I see people hurting, and I see people in fear, my empathy turns into a shield and a sword, and I do my best to battle for people. For those I've offended in my time, know that it's because I'm trying to protect others. I don't think I have a mean bone in my body, and I'm doing my best for everyone. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you're all well, or as well as you can be, and that you enjoy the lovely weather we have. Take care.